something I'm learning to do now is like just let go and just like understand that letting go truly means submitting to the fact that like no matter what you do, this thing will continue to coexist and manifest in the way that it does. Whether you interact it with this way or that way, it will just be. And it's hard, bro. It's really hard to let go. Because I think that applies universally in so many ways to like a relationship, to grief, anger, situations.
This is Sad Boy Radio.
What's the word, everybody? Welcome back to Sad Boy Radio. I'm your host, Matt, and today, man, we got a very special guest in the building. We were trying to connect back in like 2022
Hell
when,
yeah.
shit was popping. You got another venture popping now. 109.5 thousand followers on TikTok. You're the founder of Brand Face Media. Man, you really been doing your shit for a little minute, so I definitely want to give you your flowers, bro. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, no, I mean, I appreciate the welcome, bro. That's definitely very much appreciated. I've been wanting to get on the show for a fat minute, so it's definitely an honor. But yeah, man, like I've been doing this content stuff since I was 16 years old, and it just kind of all spiraled from TikTok. I was able to find myself getting into a bunch of different brand deals, getting myself involved, in the TV network, working in production, and I've just always been like a very entrepreneurial spirit. So, the last few years have just been a blessing of many different things to come because I've just let it all come and go here and go there. And, I'm really grateful to see how life has transpired, just being open and receptive to what's around me. So, I'm a doer, I'm a fighter, I've been through a lot in this journey. But I'm really grateful to be standing here today and, calling myself who I am.
That's a very powerful introduction, a very powerful statement. You were just telling me a little bit more about your story as well. And to see what you've done, right? I only know what I've seen through social media. And through that, there's been a lot of changes you've had to endure. There's a lot of things that, we're as 19-year-olds, we think this would never happen to me. Like, my goal is this, and I'm going to do whatever I need to do to get there. And when it's not that, when it completely changes on you, it could really break a lot of people. A lot of people would have stopped a long time ago, but you've continued this journey and you found yourself in positions that many people wish they could be in. So definitely, again, like I said, I want to give you your flowers, right? One of those opportunities that you've been given or that you've earned is working with Redbull. How did that opportunity come about?
That one was actually like really, really cool, bro. Like I'm not gonna lie. At that time, like the influencer era was like crazy, bro. Like you would just get an email and you just like you would see the name and you would be like, yes. Like that was, like you knew money was coming in. And Redbull had reached out to me to do something called the Content Summit. Basically, they were gonna have me come in and like teach people how to make TikToks, and that was gonna be like a media activation, a part of some creator day for an even bigger event that Red Bull was throwing. And, I would say I'm pretty good at networking. I'm pretty good at, representing myself in a proper, manageable way. So, I did the event with them. Everything was smooth. Payment was smooth. Like they were an amazing company to work with. And lo and behold, like a couple months down the line, like, one of my agents, Katie, which she wasn't my agent at the time, but she, would reach out to me and ask me like all these absurd questions and like give me all these surveys and just be like, all right, thank you. And then finally, I think it was 2022, I believe it was the year that, in November, they were just like, yeah, like we want to invite you into this like creator program. It's not going to be anything, that we can promise right now, but ultimately we want to give you this opportunity. And at first, like, I was super ecstatic. Like I thought everything was gonna go perfect, but like they ended up like dragging it out over a period of time. I lost hope and it was a whole big thing. And then just boom, out of nowhere, one day they were like, come to the office, came in and we started doing our little negotiation thing. So ever since, we've had a beautiful relationship, creator to business. They've been hella supportive and have always been super locked with me. But it's been a crazy journey with them too.
So what's the official kind of role you play with them, right? So then you're an influencer, you've also done the dance your style. So there's a lot of different components into which you've done.
Yeah, so at first it used to like contradict, like they didn't want me to do Red Bull dancer style and the influencer thing. They were like, it's a conflict of interest because people could say, like, let's say you do good in a competition, they could say, oh, like you won that competition because you're already like a spokesperson or an ambassador for Red Bull. So the first 2 years of dancer style that I wanted to like audition and attend, I actually didn't. But ultimately, the creator role kind of like separated itself, and it's more or less like I am someone that represents the brand in a faceless way. Like with Red Bull, their marketing strategy is very intentional. Like they're not the type of company to like force something down your throat and, make you digest it. It's very much like this is what you like. We're going to surround ourselves with that. So instead of it being like Beto promoting Red Bull, we're just going to put Beto around Red Bull and let Beto create around Red Bull and do his thing like he normally would around Red Bull. So with their creators, they're very lenient and very flexible, and they give us the platform, to do our content and be ourselves authentically while still being able to like bring brand awareness for them. So that's kind of like the goal that they have with all the creators that they work with, at least within my parameters of how I work with them.
So then for you, what does that content even look like nowadays, right? Because when you first started, like you were just talking, you were the bop kid. You were a dancer. You were bone breaking at one point too, right?
Yeah.
So a lot of it was dance oriented. Now you've moved into a new venture with Brand Face Media. What does that content look like with Red Bull now?
It's really more or less like event based. Like a lot of times, they give us the leeway to, kind of pick more or less what events and things we want to be involved in rather than having like a general standard in which, they just send us all to this same, copy and paste event. They want it to be a little bit more inclusive. So like for me, that's getting to go to Red Bull Dancer Style in different places and, getting to see those events firsthand, making sure that all my stuff is taken care of, all my stuff is covered. And I just get to go there and, pretty much just like be a part of it. And that's the content is literally just me. It's lifestyle at this point. Like they're not, you would think that it would be something promotional where I'm like holding a can. And, I do like to do that. Like I'm very much like a brand guy. I like having the brand on my back. That's how I feel. But ultimately, it's really just natural content. They don't force us to post anything in specific. So my goal, like, I want to do more like conceptual stuff, but I'm such a like purist and perfectionist that there's so much shit that's like in the lab that's just not out yet.
Nah, facts. And man, shout out Red Bull. Shout out a lot of those people, right? Kid Nimbus for sure.
Kid Nimbus won in Kansas City, went all the way to the national finals. I think he made it to like the semifinals out there. They just did the whole world finals in LA and whatnot. It was cool.
His story is crazy too, because he's like a whole scientist and everything.
Well, what's crazy is that Kid Nimbus is actually one of my mentors. Like, believe it or not.
Yeah, you were working with Nimbus, DeAndre, like a whole handful of them, right?
Yeah, basically since I was a young child. Like I've known DeAndre since I was like 10.
Break it down for those people that don't know who DeAndre is and who we're talking about. How did that come about?
I was a fan, bro. Like I used to watch TFK on YouTube. Saw that they were in Chicago, had my mom for, my 10th birthday, pay for me to get a master class to DeAndre and Isaiah. And I was going to basically like go learn from them. And I went, I took pictures. I think I still got pictures from that class. And lo and behold, a couple years later, he started filming with Rigo. Rigo had just met me. So I start filming with him and Rigo, and then we have, DeAndre and I have our own history. Like we weren't even friends for like 4 years. And then out of nowhere, we became friends. So my history with that dude, but that's like my best friend now. So, it's crazy everywhere that has went. But I mean, that's like the dance community for you.
I mean, DeAndre's a dope dude. I dabbled in interviewing dancers for a little bit.
Yeah, I know.
And
I've seen some of the videos.
yeah, I mean, again, going back to what I was telling you, I've interviewed a lot of fucking people in this city. It's almost come down to like a very short list of people that we haven't. And again, shout out DeAndre, shout out Kid Nimbus. Those are really dope dudes. Even Rigo's a dope dude. But man, talk to me about this new venture that you entered into, right? You started up a company called Brand Face Media. What's the significance behind this name?
So actually, one of my homies, shout out to Josh Trunk. He basically, we were having a conversation one day about Instagram and like how to grow an account and blah blah. And he was saying to me, because I was working for a really big agency in Miami. They were doing content for businesses. They had like this whole business model, and mind you, like this is coming from me being like a broke scavenging influencer trying to go from brand deal to brand deal to trying to figure out like how do I actually make money with the social media stuff. Found an opportunity with them, started learning from them. Basically what ended up happening was I had just got to a point where I realized that there was like a big opportunity in this space to like do content and to sell content, considering my experience, my background, everything I've done as an influencer, like people will pay for that skill, and people are paying for that skill to people who've never built a following, who've never had a viral video, who have never, done anything in the social media space. They just have like, a bachelor's in, SEO, and that's the closest thing they have to content marketing. And so for me, seeing this, I was like, dude, like I have to create something. And so I was talking with this guy, and he was just telling me how like nowadays, like people don't want promotional content, they don't want ad content, they don't want like observable business content where it's like, here's pictures of the restaurant, here's pictures of the food. Like they want a face. Like the brand needs a face. Like there needs to be somebody that's like, oh, that's Tom from McDonald's, or that's Bob from Burger King. Like there needs to be somebody that is associated with the entity of that company. And so I was like, they need a brand face. Like that's what a lot of these people need. And it's convenient too, because from my experience of working in the agency space, like a lot of these people didn't want to get on camera, so it was like, we can literally provide them their brand face. They don't want to get on camera. They don't want to make these videos. We can find somebody that will do that, take it over, be friendly, supercharge the brand, grow it, make them more money. Everybody wins. So that was kind of like the idea from like the name perspective, but also like how the actual inception kind of came together.
So then what is it you do, right? You kind of broke it down a little bit, but for those people that don't understand it really, what is it that Brand Face Media is doing for these companies? What are you doing behind the scenes?
It's kind of really complicated. Like we're really extending our range of services in ways that we've never have before. We're growing, we're expanding, we're getting different, demands from different clients. But in retrospect, like what we do is we film the content, we edit the content, we publish the content, we do all the ideation, we do all the scripting, we do all of the ads, the appointment setting. Like we're basically coming into someone's business and getting them all the way as close as they possibly can to the point of sale, so that all they really have to do is close whatever that looks like for their business, for their industry, whether that's for like an urgent care clinic and that's just confirming an appointment, or maybe that's, giving out a quote as a landscaper, or whatever the case may be. But everybody comes to us with different needs. Some people want just branding. Like they literally don't care about views. They don't care about, any sort of like, what's the word? Like reviewable success. Like that, it doesn't need to be anything measurable. Like they just want to create something in specific. And so through the expertise that I've built and the platform that I've built, like we get all types of demands for all different types of, crazy shit that people want to record, film, and produce. And that's just been like growing the business is literally hearing what the people want and giving it to them.
Is this you handling all of this? Like
Yes,
you do
bro.
all the design and shit?
Like,
Oh my
bro, I'm
gosh.
stressed
A
out.
one man team shit. I
Well,
feel
let me
you.
not take credit like that. Like, it's definitely me for pretty much like 90% of operation, but I do have like overseas editors that like, handle editing for me. I do have videographers that are kind of running gun here and there, but for 90% of the operations, it's really just me by myself.
Well, yeah, no, I mean I get it, cause like, when I sit here and say like, oh, I do basically everything by myself. Like now I got a guy over here. Shout out my guy John Carlo. I have my audio guy that mixes my shit. But other than that, like all the editing, all the clipping, all the writing, research, like it's a lot of fucking work, bro. And a lot of people don't realize the time and effort that you put into something. So then when it comes to, hey, this is gonna need some compensation, they think, what are you talking about? Like that shit's easy. If it was
Yeah,
that easy, you'd be doing it too. Now, wouldn't you?
100%.
You go from dancing to being an influencer to, like you said, living basically check to check off of these brand deals. How do you come to the point of let me create this company? Basically, I know you broke it down a little bit, right? You were in Miami, but like there's a lot of changes. Like there was a whole fucking arc there that I feel like we missed.
Honestly, bro, it's really just like a becoming of man thing. Like I realized, bro, like nobody's coming to save me. Like all these dreams, all these goals, like as young men, like we watch videos on YouTube, how to get rich, how can I make $10,000 today? Like, everybody wants to make money, but there's a certain amount of sacrifice and output that is like completely necessary in order to make that happen. And I realized that, this agency that I was with, like, they had their own set of goals and their own set of ideas. And, I was really only a piece in what they were doing. I was never the actual plot. I was never the actual plan. So it just opened up my eyes to the fact that if I wanted to build something that was truly for me, for my family, for my future, that I was going to have to do it myself. And so, I had created brand face as like, oh, let me have my little business, let me have my little LLC, let me funnel my money into this for like taxes and, do this the legal way and make sure that all my money's clean and everything's Gucci and good. But then I started like getting clients and it just started to like trickle in, and I just naturally gravitated towards that managerial, that leadership role, started executing. But, I learned quickly that I wasn't cut out for it as much as I thought I was. And that was where, kind of like the reserve began. And that was like that arc. That was that era where I had to like find my fire again. And then that was pretty much up until I would say this year when I decided to like sell my photo booth company. I don't know if you knew that. I had a photo booth company. So I sold my equity in that. So I was like, that was making me money. I was getting a nice low monthly check from that every single month. Like I was in a good position, but I was like, I'm comfortable as fuck. Like I am just like I can just do nothing all day.
So you walked away because you were too comfortable?
Yeah, I was like, I can't do this anymore. I was like, this is too easy. Like I had to go to the next level.
Wrong with you, dog.
You know what I'm saying? But that was really what it was.
Do you feel like because you were sort of this pawn in other people's companies, you had lacked an identity?
100%. Because like in the photo booth company, it was the same thing. Like I kept telling this kid, shout out my business partner, still to this day in some other endeavors, David Gishner. I told him like, dude, I want to make more money. And mind you, this kid's younger than me. Like at this time, I'm like 20 and he's like 18. And he's like, bro, like meet me at the Starbucks. And so I'm like, okay. So I go to the Starbucks and like, boom, pulls out the laptop, shows me the photo booth. He's like, let's buy it right now. And I was like, damn, like I have the bread. I've never done no shit like this. I literally don't know if this is going to work, but I was like, fuck it. Like, what do I have to lose? And I bought it. We got it. We started doing good. We started doing great, but it always felt like, it was never my idea. I just was like, I bought into it. Like I've always been a really good second man. I've always been a really good sidekick. And I've never not been okay with that role. I'm not like an egotistical, like I need to be first. Like I'm very good at playing my role. And that's why I've been able to get to where I believe I'm at today. Some people don't know how to play that role. But for me, like I think it's helped, but it's also been a little bit, not as good in helping me shape my own identity, like you said, because it made me feel in a lot of stories like my success was attributed to the seed being planted by somebody else always. I was just the person to water it, you know?
But there was another group you were a part of, Chicago Collective.
Yeah.
That was you.
Yeah, I started that.
So you weren't the sidekick in that case. What led to the disbandment of that?
That's crazy. I always it's like a news moment, like TV tell all. Yeah, no, I mean honestly, bro, like looking back at it, at that time, like mind you, we're 17, 18, like I've just always been a very go-getter person, and that can definitely throw people off, like I'm like, man, we all need to, get our credit to 750. We need to get $5,000 credit lines. We're all going to invest into, a photo studio that's going to serve as a rental property while we have the dance studio running on top of that. And I had all these committed ass ideas, and everybody's looking at me like, bro, we're not doing that. You know what I'm saying? But nobody's saying that to me, so there was a lack of communication. Like we're all just a bunch of young men. And now I feel like as a more emotionally mature, emotionally intelligent adult, I can see that we're all just raised differently. And so we all had different ways of dealing with conflict. And rather than being mature enough to internalize that and say, okay, this is just how we know how to deal with conflict, we kind of reflected that onto each other. And ultimately those friendships kind of dissipated within the deconstruction of everything that we were building as far as the movement, because it was getting big. I was literally talking to DeAndre about this as I was telling him about the interview today, but I was saying like we had an event called Midwest Mayhem, and we still have the highest like record to my knowledge, right? Maybe there's some shit I don't know about, right, if we're being really specific, but from my time in battling, like it was our first battle ever thrown, and we got like 75 signups, and that's a lot. Like these battles with super huge funding, they get like 50 at max, and that's for people flying from out of state, all of that. And we got 75, no promo, no sponsorships, no like. And so my point is that we had a really big movement. Everything was really coming together. People were buying shirts, content was going viral, everybody was starting to make money. But those egos, like, that's like the Chicago Collective taught me a lot about leadership, because I was also a very fucking bad. My bad. I don't know if I can cuss, right?
Doesn't matter.
Yeah, but I was like a very fucking bad leader, bro. Like I didn't know how to lead whatsoever.
In what ways do you feel like you failed?
I think like I tried to rule with like an iron fist. I tried to be very much like, this is the way, this is how it needs to be done. You need to do it like this, or you're not doing it right. I think there's a lot of different ways to like do a lot of different things, and you have to be willing to like meet people where they're at in leadership in order to actually be able to help them and lead them, because that's what leadership is about. You have to lead people somewhere, and if they don't follow you on your first go and your instant response is to reject them, deny them, or humiliate them, well then chances are you'll never be able to lead those people. It'll be a vicious cycle of trying to chase that tail and get something done, when in reality, like a simple conversation can alleviate a lot of those problems and solve a lot of things. But for me, being young and like wanting to be macho, wanting to be the alpha, wanting to be the leader, because that's what I was, that's what everyone appointed me to be. I just didn't go about, speaking to people in the right way, or having the empathy to understand that there's a certain way to go about delivery, in order to make sure that it's effective and that people actually get the message.
Where was it you think that you developed that idea of what that leadership looked like at the time?
I think it was definitely how I was raised. Like, where like the way I was raised, like
You're
was
Puerto
like,
Rican, right?
yeah.
Yeah.
So I mean, at the end of the day, bro, like, you don't really get to act in a certain type of way. Like there's standards and things like that. And that's what I think it was too, a lot of just cultural differences, you know what I'm saying? Like when people are raised differently, like you're literally doing what you think is right, and I'm doing what I think is right. So like how can we, you know what I'm saying? When you're not equipped to communicate at that level, like it's just gonna go nowhere.
I think that's the problem with a lot of people though, right? They don't know how to communicate. When there's an issue, a lot of people tend to shut down and they don't say how they feel. And my experience a lot of the times comes from relationships. When you get into situations where it's like, dog, I'm just trying to talk to you. I'm just trying to figure out what the issue is here.
Yeah.
And sometimes people think that you should just be able to read their minds. They think that if I'm so close to you, if you say I'm your person, if you say I'm your dog, I should be able to. You should know like what's wrong. You should know what the issue is. But that's not how life works. You don't just wake up and say, "Oh, damn, I understand why this person was upset over this." Right? And some people just walk away from situations rather than communicate. And it seems like, again, based off of what you're saying, it does seem like that's just kind of how it went. It was just like one day, like, all right, it is what it is. Let's move on.
Everybody just got a little older that day. It was like that was it. And it's like for me, I'm so like I'm definitely like a crash out. Like I'm a D1 crash out. But at the same time, I'm so reformed that like I can forgive anybody. Like I can hold space and capacity. Like there's not a single person you can name right now that like I couldn't be in the same room with. Like nobody makes me that angry.
I don't think that there ever should be a situation where you can't be in a room with somebody. Like, this is a lesson I learned recently. People are going to treat you how they want to, no matter what you do for them. Whether you were the perfect person to them, whether you were the worst person to them, whatever it is, they're going to treat you how they want to treat you. And that's just kind of like something you got to accept, because for a long time, for me, I would think, damn, what did I do wrong? Like, let me sit here and break down, like, did I do this? Did I do that? Like, where could have I been better?
Yeah.
And sometimes there's literally just like no place you could have been better. Sometimes people are who they are, and you just have to accept that. And when they show you who they are, move on from the situation. But not being able to be in a room with them, I don't know, they had to have killed your dog or some shit.
Yeah, bro. Nah, people just petty, bro. I think the world needs to do a lot of healing.
When the group fell apart, where did you find yourself mentally?
Bro, I was wicked. Like when the group fell apart, like I think for me, like the hardest part was definitely losing like my best friend, because me and Jacob were 100% a lot closer than me and anybody else in the group. Everybody kind of had their like little partner per se. Um, and so I was devastated, but it turned on a different hunger in me. That was when I got my first ever like big ass amount of money. Like I basically worked in film production. So I mean, obviously, I know what you do. I was like a grip slash a gaffer. I was doing G&E. I had gotten like an opportunity to PA for Black Ink Crew Chicago. Figured out about Staff Me Up and like how to get more PA gigs and stuff like that on there. And I was like, man, like I'm gonna turn up on them, I'm gonna show them. So I started applying to every single job, no matter where it was. And lo and behold, I got a call. Went in, did a show out there in Benton, Illinois, 4 hours away near Missouri for like 6 weeks. Made like my first 15K. Came back, bought a camera, bought a laptop, and like that was a stepping stone for me into like entrepreneurship, because it allowed me to have an abundant mindset. Like I could literally fix things as they were. You know how like some people like their car breaks down, it's like, fuck, like I can't fix this. I don't know. I didn't have that thought. Like for a day, I was like, anything I need, I can get it. And I think that sense of power put me in a place where I was like, yeah, I need to have this consistently. I need to consistently pursue out work, pursue out money, figure out more ways to like create my network. And lo and behold, it turned me into who I am today. Because I think before that, I was definitely still on like my degenerate shit, like wanting to just get high, dance, have fun, talk to girls, like not do anything productive. But that desire to be better, to show, to prove, it turned me into a beast.
So the whole reason you went on this arc was to prove everybody in the group wrong.
Not everybody in the group, but it's like a general like it's like the hero's journey, you know what I'm saying? Like it was like my way of just proving to myself, because my identity was rooted in that group. Like I I definitely was like, this is my group. These are my people. Like, I wanted to get that shit tatted on me. Like, watching TFK as I got older, like, that shit inspired the fuck out of me. Well, having them have TK on them and like seeing all that, like, I could admit I was 100% a fan, So for me, like, everything that I did growing up or saw, I wanted to fulfill that within my own crew, within my own teammates. And like we had that shit. It was this close. So I definitely like grieved my own identity because like I didn't really know who I was after, I left that group.
I mean, up to this point, right? You were 19, 20?
Yeah, I think I was 20 when it ended.
Because up to that point, when you're that young, again, I started this when I was 21. Like we were talking about outside, initially when you start something, your only goal is likes, followers, views. And you think that if I get this love from everybody that's watching me, if everybody watching me loves me and admires me and thinks that I'm going to be the biggest thing in the world, that'll make me happy. My success is rooted in that because that's going to change my life. And then you get it. You've gotten 1 million views. I've gotten 1 million views. It didn't change my life. I didn't wake up a millionaire because somebody on my video said, they said, I felt this, or man, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, it's all essentially fake. So you start to kind of question, like, what have I been doing this whole time? And that's why I really admire your story, because at various points you should have just said, like, what the fuck am I doing? And stop this shit. There's points where you stopped doing this shit and you weren't popping up on like the feeds. There's points where you got on live and you said, I feel like I worked so hard for my followers and other people are just gifted their followers. You remember that one?
Yeah.
So chasing this, there's going to be a lot of times where it's like, you're mad at what you do. You're mad at yourself. But it's the people that continue to show up and the people that continue to do it that are successful. And you're successful for a reason. So, man, I really love that story about you. The fact that you've continued to do this no matter what.
No, I appreciate that, bro.
So with that being said, how crucial was dance to your identity as Bernardo?
Dance was like my entire identity, like since the beginning, everything that I've ever done, like it's always been dance, like as a kid growing up, I, took a lot of time to really focus on dance and getting better at it and, obsessing about, my craft and how I wanted it to look. It was kind of like, the same way that someone has a car, like they're like, man, like I got the Speed Shifter 3000s. And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck that is. But, shit, I got misdirection in my shoulders and you don't know what that is. But we're both happy though. You know what I'm saying? So I think like it was imperative, to use dance as a way to like find my identity because in that I was able to create means of life in every aspect. So, dance was able to generate money for me. Dance was able to generate opportunities for me. It was able to generate women for me. Like I literally put me in a position where it benefited me physically. Like it's good for my health. It's good for me socially in the way that, I'm constantly involved in communities and communication and events. And like, it's crazy to think like to me, I think my life is so normal. But then I realized like there are people that like once they're out of school, like they literally just go to work and just go home. And I'm like, I do something different every single day. Like every single day I do something brand new. I go where I want. It could be somewhere random. Someone could text me tonight and you hit me up yesterday and was like, let's do this today. And I was like, okay. Like, so I think like dance has provided a lifestyle. It's provided so much for me to build off of that. Now it's just like cemented in who I am and it's given me the confidence. I think that's what probably the biggest thing is like when you can dance and be confident because dance is so niche. Like there are people that genuinely think that shit is like it's goofy, like it's just funny, you know. Like there are people that don't respect it as an art form or as a sport, and there's so many different objective ways that you could look at dance. But I think ultimately for me, it turned me into like who I am today. Like at its core, shaped me and my mental, you know, like the battles, like it's just pertained to me in so many different ways that it's deeper than movement now. Like it's corny. Like I hate corny shit, bro. I'm not gonna lie, but like fuck, like dance is my life.
Once you pick something up, it really does kind of become your whole life. And you never thought it would be. Like for this, I picked it up and I said, this is what I'm going to talk about. I'm going to bring in people. And actually, I didn't even want to bring in nobody.
Mhm.
My homie made me bring
My bad.
somebody in because he got tired of being on the show. It used to be, I wrote down ideas of things I wanted to talk about, things that nobody talks about. And I was like, all right, I'll bring my homie on and he'll just kind of listen to me rant and he'll give me his 2 cents. We found somebody else and he came back like every other one. And then he's like, man, you need to find some fucking artists to interview and talk to. I was like, I don't know about that, dog. And shit, 4.5 years later, here we are. But you don't realize like where things are gonna go when you start. You just pick it up and one day it became everything to you. Do you feel like at any point there was a difference between who Beto and Bernardo were?
100%, bro.
In what ways?
Going back to what you were saying about like gifted followers and stuff like that, like there's there is so many different avenues for growing a following. And you know, I think like with me, a big part of why I never wanted to really take it serious was just because of the difference between Bernardo and Beto. Because like, I'm be honest, like I don't really like attention. I don't really like being in the spotlight. Like I do, but for like niche things. Like if everyone wants to watch like my cool move that I practiced for the last 3 hours, like I would like for everybody to see that. But that's not the shit that goes viral, right? The shit that goes viral is me talking about how Chicago men don't cheat, and you know everyone's in the comment section going crazy. Like we've gotten to a point now where that's what content is, that's what sells, that's what gets views, that's what you know gets attention. And I think for me, uh dance was always the main goal. The entire point of the platform was to be able to continue dancing for the rest of my life without worry of financial hardship, because the main thing that was imprinted to me as a kid was this is not a real career, this is not going to pay the bills, this is not consistent, you need to grow up. So in my mind I'm like, I need dance to be this so that I can continue to dance. But TikTok, I think like definitely changed a lot of how I viewed myself. You know, I started viewing myself based upon views and likes rather than actual talent or skill. You know, I started to focus more or less on like what people were thinking of me rather than like what opportunities could come. Cause you know, like when you're getting 2,000, 3,000, 5,000 comments at a time of people just saying all type of crazy stuff, like you see it, you know what I'm saying? You see crazy stuff. Like I be getting cracked up, you know what I'm saying? I be laughing.
You actually read that shit?
Bro, I be reading. Bro, people be making me laugh, bro. Like, I love reading comments. But nonetheless, I think my main point in case is that like it's always been a struggle to keep the synergy between like Bernardo and Beto. But I think that's kind of like where I'm at now with like everything that I'm doing, like getting older, realizing that like, bro, I'm literally 22. Like, this is my chance. This is my moment. Like, why do I care about what people think? Why do I care about if people think if I fell off or now I'm trying to do this or now I'm trying to do that? Like, I grew up in an environment where you were always, you know, micromanaged and scrutinized. And, you know, I think it got me to a point now as an adult where I'm like, fuck, like, I don't want people to judge me. I don't want people to think I'm lame. I don't want people to think I'm corny. But it's like, fuck, bro, that's what works. You know what I'm saying? So I think it was a struggle for a while, but now I'm getting to a point where that synergy between Bernardo and Beto is really present.
When you say that you grew up in an environment that was very micromanaged, do you mean like parent wise or you mean like the TikTok stuff?
Parent wise, 100%. Like culturally, like I think like, you know, I was always like the odd one out. I've always been like a risk taker. I've always been like a why is he like that kind of kid? Like just very different. You know what I'm saying? Never been like too culturally in tune with like being Hispanic or anything like that. Like I've always just been me. You know what I'm saying? So I think a lot of times that causes for concern, like especially in like a Hispanic family, because everybody always wants to like know about each other and what everybody's doing and get all into the nitty gritties and getting all up in your business. And I think for me, like I just always did my own shit.
I think that's something that I felt a lot like when I started this.
Yeah.
When I started this, there was a lot going on in my family with like my grandma being sick and shit.
Sorry.
And at that time, I was so like, I was graduating college. I was like, why the fuck does everybody care what the fuck I'm doing? Like,
Yeah.
stop focusing on me. Like, I'm going to do what I do. And if it gets to where it needs to be, it will, right?
Yeah.
And similar to you, I always felt like the odd one out because my family viewed me as like the problem child out of my 3 siblings. I'm like, bro, I'm not even a problem. Like, I got good grades. I do everything I need to. But because of, you know, certain things I do in my lifestyle, other like things they hear from my parents, like, oh, he didn't help me out with this. No, I'm the fucking, apparently I'm like the worst kid in the fucking world. You know what I'm saying? And I look back on those conversations that I used to have when I was 21, 22. And I feel like I'm like, damn, I was such a like selfish kid. I was very like, it was all about me and I only cared about me and whatever needed to be done to make what I wanted to do successful, that was it. So if I had to miss a party, fuck that party. I'm gonna go do what I got to do. And I've been telling this story a lot recently, but it's like again, once you get certain things in life and then you realize like nobody's there with you, you don't got a family member like celebrating it like you wish. You don't got like you got your friends, but like of course they're gonna say like, yeah, bro, that shit's raw as hell, like congrats. But it's like nobody's actually there to be like with you and enjoy that moment. For me, it was like being on a beach in Puerto Rico and just looking at the fucking sunset as I fucking just finished interviewing somebody. Like, that's when I realized, like, oh, there might be a little more to this life shit than just like doing everything that I said I was gonna do. Um, and that's why I felt like, you know, bringing you on and talking to you, I felt like that was important because I've seen you have the success like you talked about with Chicago Collective. You had the photo booth company where you were making money and you decided to walk away. And sometimes it really does just take like letting go of certain things in your life and creating room for new things.
100%.
What was the part of Bernardo that was the hardest to let go of in order to grow?
You know, bro, I think like honestly, and it's something I'm still letting go of, is like control. Like I genuinely struggle with like OCD. Like to some people, like, you know, everyone's like, oh, like I have like, I like things to be clean, but like I struggle with like real clinical OCD. I developed it after my lung collapsed. So when that happened, I had a sensory motor like obsession with my lungs where I had to manually breathe basically every second of the day. From the moment I woke up to the moment I went to sleep, I would be like, and I wouldn't not do that because if I didn't do that, I had this delusion that I would stop breathing and die. And I truly believed it. Like I truly believed it to my core. And it took me like 9 months of therapy to be able to like let go of my breathing and just let it happen on autopilot. So like with my OCD, it's been something that's affected my business. It's been something that's affected my career because it's always a matter of me trying to uh manage damage and risk and danger, right? It's always about doing the safe thing, doing what makes me feel comfortable, doing what keeps me in a place where I know what's going to happen. Therefore, I have control because there's a sense of knowing. And the feeling of not knowing gives me a sense of a lack of control. And then, therefore, I can act irrationally. I can make the wrong decision. And that could both affect me in a relationship, it could affect me in business. So I think like something I'm learning to do now is like just let go and just like understand that letting go truly means submitting to the fact that like no matter what you do, this thing will continue to coexist and manifest in the way that it does. Whether you interact it with this way or that way, it will just be. And it's hard, bro. It's really hard to let go. Because I think that applies universally in so many ways to like a relationship, to grief, anger, situations. So letting go. I think like that is the hardest part of letting go has been letting go.
I mean, literally, just like I was saying earlier, right? When it comes to relationships, people are gonna treat you how they want to treat you, and sometimes you just have to let go of people. Not everybody's gonna come with. Not every situation is gonna come with you. If something shows you that it's not for you, let it go. Something that I've really like been holding on to recently is that when people say God isn't gonna let you have peace in a place where you're not supposed to be. I never believed that shit. I was like, ain't what I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, you don't have peace. Like I was always the person on the opposite end where people were kind of like, damn, I shouldn't even be airing this out. But like some girl I used to talk to, they'd be like, damn, like I don't really know how I feel about this. Like, I just got this weird feeling about you. And I'm like, huh? Like, I don't know, you're tripping, right? Until recently, again, I never had that feeling. I had the feeling about somebody. I'm like, definitely on some shiesty shit. Definitely on some like, I didn't feel peace. I didn't feel at peace.
Yeah.
And lo and behold, I found out some shit. I'm like, what the fuck? And that at that point, that's when I started like, that's when I knew. I'm like, damn, God really will not let you have peace in a situation you're not supposed to be in.
Give me anxiety now, bro. Now I'm thinking about the situations I'm not at peace.
Everything that happens to you happens for a reason. God is going to place situations in your life for you to learn that lesson. Whether you want to learn that lesson or not, he's going to make sure you learn that fucking lesson. And recently for me, it was just let go of things that you can't control no more. And even if you think you can control it, you can't. He's the one that controls that shit. Why do you think it's been so hard for you to let go of control?
Childhood trauma, I never really had like I had it really rough growing up, bro. Like I think a lot of people, you know, um, experience a plethora of different things through childhood that are traumatic. But I think for me, like I endured so much so quickly, so often that as a child, control was like a little bit of water or a little piece of wood in the ocean to like hold on to. You know what I'm saying? So control became like a vice. It was like if I have control, I'm safe. You know what I'm saying? And so I think as I got older, controlling everything, it's like why I wanted to be a leader. It's why I wanted to be an entrepreneur. It's like everything that I kind of became was actually just anxiety from my childhood personified into a more positive manifesto, of like a archetype of character.
What was it you were looking to be saved from?
I think like just the idea of like inconsistency. Like, as a kid, like that was like the big like by the time I was a freshman in high school, I think I had already been to like 14 different schools. Like we moved so much when I was young. And, I remember third grade was the year like that it happened the most. I moved like 3 schools in that year. And so I think never having control over any of those situations and like always having to just be like, okay, new school, new kids, new curriculum, new ideas, new this. Like I just had to adapt. You know what I'm saying? There was no like, hey, maybe this is a lot on this kid. It was like, nope, just put him in this. Oh, he's acting out, put him in this. Like, and so I was kind of like a fucking like a pinball, bro. And my childhood was just like a pinball machine, and motherfuckers just snapped me and just bounced me from place to place to place. And I was just resilient. Like nothing ever, I never, granted, I had like badass behavioral issues, but I wasn't like, I was that kid that like taught other kids bad words. Like I wasn't like, I didn't do nothing crazy, but that was kind of what it was.
You feel like that created resentment towards your parents?
No, because I'm very much like everybody is figuring it out kind of person. Like I have a lot of mercy and grace on everybody just because like I understand that like, people do what they need to do out of 90% of the time fear. Like there's always every single action, there's some kind of fear behind it. So to me, I think like I don't think anyone can really be malicious. I don't think anyone can really be like there's people that hate me that I like absolutely love. Like so for me, I don't really resent them. I think it more or less just gives me more insight as to like who I am and what I've learned from them and how I can kind of like reverse engineer that because as much as I may have picked up some of their good traits, I know I've probably picked up some of those bad traits as well. So it's really more of an observant thing rather than like a resentment thing.
Why would somebody hate you, but you still got love for them?
There's situations in my life where people and I have quarreled about, some kind of dilemma or whatever the case may be. And, that person hasn't seeked out their resolve from their own internal state, whereas I have. Like, I'm just not the type of person to ever. Like, I've experienced so much death in my life that, like, I just really don't give a fuck about nothing. Like, bro, we all die. Like, that shit is so real, bro. Like, everybody dies, gang. So, like, to me, like I just don't trip. I'm like, bro, like it's too short, man. We gotta love each other. Like I haven't always been like that. But I think as of this last year, especially, like I just been on some like hippie love and shit. Like that's been my thing.
What was it that changed?
I think number one, definitely my faith. Like, being as a Christian, like trying to become a Christian and walk into that faith, like when you learn about God and you really educate yourself in scripture, like there's so much depth to what you can learn. Like it's not just about being a good human. Like this shit is like the fucking core, oxygen, water. It's the existence, the quintessential existence of life. So I think for me, being able to take that in gives me so much gratitude because it just shows me that like there's something so much like we get so consumed in our daily endeavors that we realize that none of this shit like really holds any significance. Like it's just like we hold that significance in our mind temporarily, but in 10, 20 years, like all this shit will be gone.
If none of it matters, and you realize it, like you just kind of realize it randomly. Like I think back to problems I had 5 years ago. I'm like, bro, like those weren't even real problems. Like at the time, it felt like the world was ending, and now it's just a distant thought. You probably don't even think about it today. Was there a moment that led you to seek out Christ?
Yeah, like I had like some like crazy family trauma happen and I was just like, you know what, man? Like I just want to go to church. Like I want to go seek out church and just go see like what that feels like from like an adult perspective. Cuz I think like a lot of people who reject the church usually like are people that all went as children and had like that same anxious experience, it never really feels good. You never really understand, but like I invite everybody to experience that as an adult because I think there was a lot more freeing feeling knowing that I was seeking it out rather than it being like Sunday and me being like, fuck, like I gotta go to church today. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Earlier this year for me, there was a point where I just felt really lost. No clue what it was. And then on Easter, I'm like, I never went to church on Easter in my life. Like, I think I need God in my life for real. So I text my aunt, and my aunt sends me, the link to watch online. And I sat there for an hour, put my phone away, put it on my computer, and I'm like, I just needed it. Then I went the next week, and I kept going, and eventually, some stuff connects to you. It connects to what's going on in your daily life, and you're like, oh, like this might actually help me. And like you said, there's just kind of like this freeing feeling. There's this peace that comes with it. And, I really don't talk about religion like that much. I've talked about it more often recently because I do feel like it's an important thing to talk about now. I think that, conversations we never have. People think that it's taboo to talk about it, but really, like, there's so many people out here that are hurt. There's so many people out here that feel lost in life and they don't know where to go. And I think sometimes, even if you think it's silly to believe in something, like that faith and that belief is going to save somebody and it's going to make you feel 100% more comfortable in the world we live in.
I've always been a skeptic. Like, I almost lost my life with the lung collapse. Like, I became super hyper aware. Like, that led to the whole, OCD. Like, so for me, like, I've always been a skeptic of like history and all that stuff. But the thing is, bro, like, when you really break down scripture, when you really look into, just religious texts, not even the Christian Bible, but like the Quran, the Torah, like, you learn about history, like history, the same way that like, like, did you ever see Martin Luther King?
Like, what? Like,
Did you ever
what?
see him in person?
No.
But why did you believe he's real?
Well, yeah, because history books.
Exactly, right? And there's history around like all the religious stuff, but everybody, it's just like there's a sense of accountability that comes with religion that people don't want to face. And that's why it's considered taboo. And like it sucks. Like it 100% does. Even as like someone that's like actively trying to pursue Christianity, like that accountability shit is like it's a different devil, bro. When you try to like live for something other than yourself, when life becomes more than like worldly possessions, you start to care less about like heartbreaks or what your boss said and shit like that. Like it just it's a complete alteration of focus, bro. That's what I've seen. Like people say that it like brainwashes you and stuff like that. Like there's so many different like ideologies and viewpoints, but the truth is, bro, is that like regardless of what people want to think about it, like religion is one of the most like transformative tools that outside of afterlife and opinionated ideas, like it's a transformative tool to help people become better with whatever it is that they're doing in their life, whether that's struggling with like addiction or poverty or sickness, just all those different type of things. Like it's beautiful to see, not even just from the Christian standpoint, but just like the overall worldview standpoint, like how belief can be transformative in like human lives.
All right, man. I got one last question for you.
Amen. Let's rock out.
So again, you start off with dancing, go to being an influencer, then you end up creating your own company. Throughout all of this, all these successes, all these failures, you still found a way back to some form of entertainment. Why?
I think I was just built for the spotlight. Like I don't like attention, like I said, but there's just like this performer instinct inside of me. Like I know how to turn it on when there's a camera on. I know how to speak a certain way. If there's like a challenge that nobody can do, I'm like, all right, watch this. Like I'm just like that charismatic, snappy type of individual. And I've just always found myself in a place where, I know how to move people. I know how to make people like feel something. I think, that's like a childhood instinct, just making people laugh, making people smile. It's like a love language. It's a part of who I am. So kind of just got turned into a career.
So what do you think it is that's gonna make you happy now after seeing where it could take you and the things you've learned?
Just God. I think that's true fulfillment. Like right now, I'm around a lot of high value entrepreneurs, people that are making, 8, 9 figures, like money that I would have never even thought I would ever be around in my life. And they're still unhappy. And I'm like, damn, like nobody's happy. Like you guys think like, oh, like anybody that's ever said that has just not had enough money. Like, no, bro. Like it is literally human nature to just not be happy. And there is no dollar amount. There is no like amount of dance competitions. There's nothing that I can do that will ever just be like a happiness generator. And I've accepted that. But God is like the stability that allows you to never go too high up and never go too down low.
I think it's really just being surrounded by love. surrounded by things and people that love you and you love. Because it's one thing to love somebody and it's one thing to love something and it doesn't love you back. And that's the worst. If you're pouring energy and time and anything into something that doesn't love you, is what am I doing here? There's not a second that you shouldn't want to be loved by somebody or something. And when you aren't, let go. Man, I appreciate you sliding, bro.
Hell yeah,
I
bro.
can't wait
Thank you
to
for
see
having
you.
me.
Man, I gotta fuck up. But man, I appreciate you sliding. Thank you for, sitting down with us and just opening up, right? I know this is a lot of like heavy stuff that we talk
Yeah, no,
about
I had a good time, bro.
man. But go ahead, plug whatever you want to plug real quick.
Yeah, I mean, go follow Brand Face Media on Instagram. You know what I'm saying? We're doing a lot of big things with content. If you need any type of content, marketing, social media, you name it, we got it. We do it. Come rock with your boy, man. And a lot of content coming soon. A lot of lifestyle content, a lot of new endeavors, a lot of new businesses, a lot of new partners, a lot of new faces. Y'all gonna see.
Make sure you guys go ahead, like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure you go ahead, check out Brand Face Media. Sad Boys for real. Peace out.
This is Sad Boy Radio.